Why you can't lock? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Island correspondent David Blevins from Stormont. David, what is more significant or historic today? That Stormont is back up and running after this extended delay and, of course, back up and running for the first time since Brexit, or the individuals who we just witnessed shaking hands on those steps moments ago?
I think for the people of Northern Ireland, it is the fact that they have a power-sharing government back in place after 2 years of political stalemate. That has had a significant impact in so many areas of life here, as you've been saying, around healthcare. Northern Ireland having the longest waiting lists in the UK. There are issues with the education budget, with infrastructure, with the wider economy. And we saw just 2 weeks ago 170,000 public sector workers out on strike demanding a pay rise. All of those issues have to be dealt with very quickly. But that's not to take away from the symbolism of what has happened over the weekend and again what has happened this morning. It's been a busy morning for the Prime Minister. He went to Parliament Buildings, the seat of government in Northern Ireland, a quick tour of the Stormont Assembly Chamber where the business will start proper today. He had off-camera meetings with the Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou MacDonald and the DUP leader Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, and we understand also had a bilateral meeting already this morning with his Irish counterpart, the Irish Prime Minister on Taoiseach Leo Varadkar. Then made the short journey here to where I am at Stormont Castle, and we saw that again, a moment of history as a British Prime Minister shook the hand of a Northern Ireland First Minister from a nationalist background for the very first time. Spent a few minutes chatting with Michelle O'Neill, the Deputy First Minister Emma Little Pengelly, and the Prime Minister was accompanied, of course, by his Northern Ireland Secretary Chris Heaton Harris. We will have to wait a little while to hear what goes on in the meeting that's taking place behind closed doors between the Prime Minister and the two First Ministers. He'll also meet with the wider executive, we understand, but we are hearing some rumours in relation to that off-camera meeting that took place this morning between the Prime Minister and the Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou MacDonald, and this is interesting. We understand that she challenged him or expressed her strong opinion about some of the wording in the command paper. The command paper is the document published last week detailing the legislation that resulted in the DUP being content enough to return to the power-sharing government. And this takes us back to the interview I did with the new First Minister at the weekend. Michelle O'Neill, you will have heard, told Sky News that she envisages a referendum on Irish unity in her lifetime. Well, in the command paper published by the British government, it suggests that there won't be a referendum on Irish unity or even the need for one for decades to come. So I'm not terribly surprised that the wording of that paper is causing some frustration for the Sinn Féin President Mary Lou MacDonald, and she appears to have voiced that to the Prime Minister this morning.
For sure. I guess you wouldn't have expected the Westminster government to suggest a referendum is coming anytime soon, though, either. Talk to me about how all of this is going down across Northern Ireland, and in particular, whether there is, I can guess the answer to this, but whether there's a sense of gratitude towards Rishi Sunak and his government for having found a way to thread the needle to get us to this point, which was not easy, obviously, with lots of stakeholders needing to feel placated. And of course, the big problem was really the Brexit deal, that he was part of the government that signed off on it, but he kind of inherited it. It wasn't necessarily all of his doing. Are people in Northern Ireland impressed that we've reached this point with Rishi Sunak or not?
Well, I think it's important to remember that Northern Ireland, like Scotland, did not vote to leave the European Union when the referendum took place back in 2016. So they will be very slow to give credit to Rishi Sunak for clearing up a mess that they believe was not of their making, but of the Tory government's making, as you've pointed out. Having said that, I think Rishi Sunak will, and to an extent quite rightly can, claim credit for achieving something which his predecessors, Theresa May, Boris Johnson and Liz Truss, could not, and that was to address the unionist concerns over that post-Brexit border in the Irish Sea, to the point where they've been content enough to return to the power-sharing administration that is so desperately needed in Northern Ireland. And in that regard, I think the people across this place will be breathing a huge sigh of relief, because we have had significant problems during this period of political stalemate. Every now and again, the Northern Ireland Secretary, Chris Heaton-Harris, had to tweak the legislation to give himself a little bit more power, to take another decision that should have been taken by a devolved government. It was a kind of direct rule light, I think you would describe it as, across the Irish Sea, with the decisions having to be made in Westminster now and again because there was no government here to make them. So on the whole, I think people will be relieved, but there's no great fanfare out on the streets. Instead, people just want to see this government working this time, want to see this government surviving. And of course it does face challenges, not least the fact that there is a very clear division within the ranks of the Democratic Unionist Party about the deal that has persuaded Jeffrey Donaldson to come back on board.
David, we have some pictures of that meeting that you referenced that's been taking place in the last few minutes. We don't yet have a readout, but I'm not sure if you can see these pictures, David, but it's all happy and smiley, as you might imagine, for the moment of the meeting when the cameras are in the room. And we'll wait to hear what exactly was said and discussed in that meeting when we have the readout. I had another question for you about the timing of all of this, and call me sceptical, but does the fact that there's a general election looming influence the likely willingness of the parties, particularly the DUP, to strike a deal? And I guess if so, it doesn't really matter. There is a deal, and Stormont is sitting again. But again, is that something strategic that the Westminster government maybe used to try and cajole people to come back to the table?
Yes, I think it will have had a bearing on the progress that has been made over the course of the last week. But I think perhaps the thing that put most pressure on was the picture of 170,000 public sector workers being on the streets of Northern Ireland demanding equal pay with those who do exactly the same jobs across the rest of the United Kingdom. And sorting out those sorts of problems will be the challenge for the people who are sitting around that table behind these walls with the Prime Minister as we speak. He has been posing for a photograph, as we can see, with ministers from the newly installed power-sharing government having a chat, it seems, with the new First Minister, Michelle O'Neill. But beyond all of the photographs and all of the smiles and all of the basking in the glory, or attempts to bask in the glory, of that breakthrough, is the serious business of politics. And the people of Northern Ireland need a government, are glad to see a government back, and would rather that the politicians focus on that than on any wider issue, including the general election. I think it is worth noting, of course, that Rishi Sunak desperately needed a win here. I'm not surprised he has come to Northern Ireland today ahead of a general election later this year, but that is mirrored in the decision of his Irish counterpart, the Irish Prime Minister, Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, to also come from Dublin today to visit Belfast. He will also face a general election in the next 12 months and wants to be seen to have made more progress too. But again, as always with Northern Ireland, it's never very simple, and those two governments on either side of the Irish Sea also, of course, hold very different opinions on that thorny question of where Northern Ireland's future lies. Last September, Leo Varadkar made it very clear that he envisages a referendum on Irish unity within his lifetime. The UK government wasn't very pleased about those words. They thought they were insensitive during the negotiations aimed at trying to bring a power sharing back to Northern Ireland. But in the command paper that has resulted in the deal that brought the power sharing government back, they themselves are saying the complete opposite, that they believe Northern Ireland is and will remain part of the United Kingdom for a long time to come. So the two governments in very different positions on that issue.
So David, talk to me a bit more about the difficulties that Rishi Sunak and Michelle O'Neill are going to have in seeing eye to eye and making pragmatic deals and other things in the months and years ahead. How fundamentally are they going to be opposed on key issues? Is it something that they'll be able to look past in order to be functional, or do you think we can expect a more contentious, a more toxic even relationship to perhaps one we've witnessed in the past between, say, Boris Johnson and Nicola Sturgeon at times, another First Minister with nationalistic views, of course? Or do you think Rishi Sunak has turned the dial there in a way that isn't just simply putting down Tory Prime Minister and Nationalist First Minister is always going to clash?
Well, I suppose what we saw on Saturday, that significant moment when Michelle O'Neill was installed as the first Irish Republican First Minister of Northern Ireland, in a way could be described as painting this town green. The Prime Minister has come today to wave a red, white and blue flag. So ideologically, constitutionally, they are poles apart. And I think you used the key word there a few moments ago when you talked about pragmatism, because that's, I think, what the ordinary people in Northern Ireland are crying out for, a pragmatic approach by their government. For many people, the constitutional question of should Northern Ireland be in the United Kingdom or be reunited with the other 26 counties south of the border is not the most pressing issue in their lives. They want to make sure they've got childcare. They want to see the cost of living reduced. They want to see other challenges in their lives being handled by the newly installed devolved government. So I think it's about pragmatism, and I think if Sinn Féin are as astute as they have demonstrated throughout the peace process, they will focus on those issues and recognise that by addressing those issues, being seen as a credible government that is not just obsessed with one issue, they will shift the focus for those in the middle ground. I've said for a very long time, the vote on Irish unity will not be decided by those who are Irish Republican or those who are staunchly Unionist. It will be decided by those in the middle ground. I see my cameraman has dashed off, so I think that tells us that the Prime Minister's departure is imminent. I'm not sure if you can see that from the perspective I have it, but Rishi Sunak has obviously in the last few minutes met now with the First Minister Michelle O'Neill, with the Deputy First Minister Emma Little-Pengelly, with the newly installed ministers in the government of Northern Ireland who have to get down to the serious business of governing today. And now he is preparing to depart, we think. He has one other engagement in Northern Ireland. It's not very far away. We hope to get a few words with him there. My colleague, our political editor, Beth Rigby, is standing by at that other location to talk to the Prime Minister when he gets there. And we'll have an opportunity to ask him some of these important questions that you're asking me.
Well, David, we're going to stay, of course, across this story throughout the day because it is the number one of the day. And as you said, whether it's the Prime Minister or Michelle O'Neill or Leo Varadkar, who's due there too as well, we are expecting comments from all of those people at various points throughout the day, and we'll return as soon as we get them. Indeed, we might return for those departure pictures of Rishi Sunak as and when he does step out. This could be him. Maybe let's wait a further second as we see people appear at that door, but not quite yet, and we're not expecting comments at this departure. Here we go. Let's have a look. David, talk us through here. We're looking at, of course, Michelle O'Neill, Emma Little-Pengelly, Chris Eaton-Harris and the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. What do you make of the warmth, the tone that you're witnessing here? You'd expect it to be warm and friendly in this critical photo op in the early days of power sharing being restored.
Yeah, well, we've had many historic moments in Northern Ireland through the 30 years of the peace process. The paramilitary ceasefires, the decommissioning of weapons, the decision of polar opposite parties to share power. This is another one of those moments because for the very first time you have a Sinn Féin First Minister, and the Prime Minister and his Northern Ireland Secretary have spent the morning here at Parliament buildings and at Stormont Castle chatting to the new First Ministers, the new devolved government, wishing them well. It appeared to be very warm, the welcome and the farewell. And as I say, the Prime Minister will now have one other engagement in Northern Ireland where he'll have an opportunity to talk to not politicians but the ordinary people and hear some of their views on the developments over the weekend. An ordinary people, a public, I think that is hugely relieved that after 2 years of political stalemate there is finally a functioning power sharing devolved government back on the hill at Stormont, people in place who can decide how is that £3.3 billion that was part of this deal from the UK government going to be spent, how are the issues that have challenged this place for so long going to be dealt with. But there's one question I'm 100% certain will have been asked behind those doors during that meeting. Have you any more money for us?
Well, it's a big question, but I guess all parts of the UK are asking it. It's the age-old question in politics. But fantastic detail there, David. Thank you so much. And we're going to be back, of course, with David throughout the day with those other live events that he was alluding to. And we are expecting to hear from the Prime Minister directly in a little while, as well as those other key stakeholders from Michelle O'Neill to Leo Varadkar. And we'll be back live to Northern Ireland as and when the time calls. For now, let's move on. The US has carried out another wave of strikes on Houthi targets in Yemen overnight. Iran has condemned the retaliation strikes, warning that they will achieve nothing. Well, the warning comes after a weekend of joint missions between the US and the UK. On Saturday, UK Typhoon jets took off from an RAF base in Cyprus, while American planes and missiles were deployed from ships targeting sites in Yemen. It comes as the Houthis have continued their attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea, with more than 19 incidents recorded since the UK and the US's first airstrikes on the 11th of January. Well, this time they say they hit 36 Houthi targets, including drone control stations. That's after the UK and US hit locations in Syria and Iraq on Friday night. Our international correspondent, John Sparks, joins us now from Erbil in Iraq. And John, I mean, this escalation, I guess, is not the word that the UK and the US want to be used. They want to use the word retaliation. But to what extent is it being seen as an escalation?
Yeah, it seems to be a key word. I mean, Antony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, begins a tour in the Middle East, and he's talking about non-escalation, de-escalation, that we've seen a lot of military activities in these various fronts in the region, but the Americans don't want to escalate the situation. But you know, his colleague in the Biden White House, the top security official, Jake Sullivan, he's got a much tougher message. He's been telling his critics in Washington, and he's been sending a message to the militias here in Iraq and Syria that the Americans are prepared to strike again. Of course, on Friday night, they hit these Iran-backed militias in Iraq and Syria. He said that's not the end of it, and there'll be additional strikes, he promised. Speaking to critics in the Republican Party, they think that Biden should be doing more. They want, some of them at least, have suggested direct strikes on Iran. I don't think that's a path that the Biden administration want to travel for fear of the possible consequences in terms of direct retaliation. But Sullivan sounding tough, sending a message to the militias here as well that it's not over, that if they continue to attack American bases and facilities, then the Americans will hit back, and they'll hit hard. And I can tell you that we've had reports this morning that a base in eastern Syria that the Americans share with the Kurdish forces in northeast Syria, that base has been hit overnight. those forces, the Syrian Democratic Forces, and they are reporting this morning that they have lost 6 of their special forces, along with 14 injuries. That sounds like a pretty significant, a pretty major attack from one of the Iraq militias, one of the Iran-based militias that operate from Iraq. And pictures have been posted on social media this morning in Iraq of one of these groups firing missiles off into the night sky, saying that they were targeting this base. You know, and I think it gives you an indication of how unpredictable the situation here is, how volatile it is. I think we're really standing at the beginning of what could be a tit-for-tat conflict, a tit-for-tat war. And you know, Wilfred, it's difficult to see the way out of this. Where is the out point? I don't think Antony Blinken knows that. I don't think his security team do either.
John Sparks, thanks so much for that. Very much appreciated. Well, that escalation in strikes comes as the UK's flagship aircraft carrier, the HMS Queen Elizabeth, was forced to withdraw from a major NATO exercise at the last minute. The Royal Navy said an issue with a propeller shaft was spotted during last-minute checks, leaving it unable to sail as planned on Sunday. HMS Prince of Wales will stand in, but ministers are warning that the UK is unprepared for war at a time of worsening global security. Let's bring in Sean Bell, our military analyst, who's here with me now. Sean, should we start on that quickly, just how embarrassing it is for the UK ahead of this massive NATO exercise, that the flagship carrier of our fleet, but also it was meant to be central for this NATO exercise, wasn't it? It's had to pull out?
It was very unfortunate, but it is worth remembering these are 2 of the biggest warships that have ever been delivered. They're relatively new. They were literally 2017 and 2019, I think they were delivered. And when I flew Harrier jets, we took the first of the GR5s, the first variant of the carbon fibre jet. It took 2 years to run through a lot of the wrinkles in a brand new aircraft. And therefore, for the carrier, yes, I understand it was a precautionary measure. Therefore, they're transferring responsibility from the Queen Elizabeth to the Prince of Wales. They're not quite clear how long that will take to get out to the exercise. So it's unfortunate timing, particularly because the House Commons Defence Committee paper, Are You Ready for War?, was published that same day, and it doesn't resonate well.
So let's touch then on the strikes. It's been a busy weekend. What is the latest?
Well, yeah, Friday there was a whole series of US strikes, 85 targets, 125 munitions. It was pretty big, 4 target areas in Syria, 3 across in Iraq. So it was interesting, none in Iran, though. This was part of the first wave of the US retaliation after the US strikes against the US service personnel in the north of Jordan. But also on Friday, there were more Houthi strikes against the shipping in the Red Sea. As a result of that, on Saturday night, we saw a whole wave of US and UK Typhoon aircraft striking a whole lot of Houthi targets. That included radars, missiles, underground bunkers. And then last night, again, the US conducted even more strikes against targets, the Houthi targets. They claimed they targeted 1 land attack cruise missile and 4 anti-ship cruise missiles that they alleged were actually ready to be launched.
So let's touch on whether this is all working or not. Would we have expected the deterrent to be fully effective already, or do these things take time?
No, I mean, what is evident from the international audience here, everybody's led by the US, is trying to do a clear response, but also make it measured. Now, the aim is to stop the Houthis terrorising shipping. Now, the easy way to do that is to destroy them, but that will be a long campaign, and it's not the messaging that the US want to get out. So what they're doing is a 3-phased approach. The first phase is deter, and that's simply trying to send the message, we are serious about this, we can strike you, we can strike various bits of equipment. As you say, that clearly hasn't worked. The next stage, the language they're using now, is to degrade. And that means a much fuller spectrum of targets. They've been looking at underground targeting bunkers, helicopters, anything to do with the military capability, but still not actually trying not to avoid targeting the personnel themselves. But the next phase will be destroy. And that phase will be all elements of Houthi military capability, including leadership and including personnel and soldiers. So it's a gradual ramping up. Whether they go to phase 3, which is a bit more of an escalation, will be wait to be seen.
And in terms of this question of escalation, which obviously the West is trying to avoid suggesting that's happening, I mean, is it fair to say things aren't escalating or not?
Well, evidently, if you look at the Houthi attacks and the attacks in Iraq and Syria, things are getting worse. But it's interesting, the diplomatic language behind this from all sides is still extremely measured. And the Iranians have been really clear through diplomatic channels. America stopped the war in Gaza and will stop the escalation. So it's no great surprise, it's no coincidence that the US has also, in parallel to the military activity, tabled a proposal that would potentially draw a ceasefire in the war in Gaza, potentially 2-month halt, 100 hostages, allow time for the humanitarian aid to flow. Although Benjamin Netanyahu has been pretty much saying, I'm only focused on destroying Hamas, the protests in Tel Aviv continue as the population is saying more needs to be done. Some really high stakes out at the moment.
Sean Bell, as always, thanks so much. Now, police are working to identify the breeds of 2 dogs that attacked and killed a grandmother in Essex. Essex police were called to a property in Jaywick where they found Esther Martin seriously injured. The 68-year-old, who was visiting her grandson at the time, was pronounced dead at the scene on Saturday afternoon. A 39-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of dangerous dog offences and remains in custody. We have a bit of further breaking news on this, which is that police have said they are making good progress on their investigation. Sky correspondent Matthew Thompson joins us now with a bit more on this. And Matthew, what are the moving parts that we're kind of awaiting more details on?
Well, the key thing is that the update that we've just had from the police, as you read out part of there, they said they're making good progress, but crucially they say it may take a few more days before they're able to confirm the breed of the dogs involved in this incident. Now, there is a lot of reporting around the fact that they were XL bully dogs. That's certainly something that the victim's daughter has said in an interview. Several witnesses also say that they were XL bully dogs involved, but the police are clearly taking their time on this. They say it's important to get it right. The context, of course, being that XL bully dogs, as of just last week, in fact, were banned by the government unless you have an exemption certificate. So that's why the breed of the dog and finding that out is so crucially important. What we also know so far, largely again from interview that the victim's daughter has given, is that she was intervening in a fight between the 2 dogs' puppies while she was visiting her 11-year-old grandson. And then in spite of the efforts of a number of witnesses who reportedly intervened with spades and other implements to try and drag the dogs off her, and 6 police officers who arrived from Essex Police within minutes, the police force say, they were unable to save Miss Martin, who died at the scene. The police, as I say, are keen to stress that they are still investigating exactly what happened, what the breed of the dog is, but they have arrested a 39-year-old man on suspicion of dangerous dog offences. And I think it's important to say that, once again, these XL bully dogs, they've been, widely covered in the press of late. They are particularly dangerous, so much so that they have been banned. And one statistic really stood out to me as I was reading all about them, is that in the years 2001 to 2021, there were an average of 3 fatal dog attacks in the UK every year. But in 2022 and 2023, there were a combined total of 23 fatal dog attacks, many of which have been linked to this breed of XL bully. So although many of the proponents of XL bully say that their dogs are loving, and I'm sure many of them are, and they have deep and caring relationships with their owners, there is clearly something wrong here that is potentially linkable to the breed of XL bullies, which is why the government felt they had to act. But once again, we should be clear that it's not yet officially recognised that the dogs involved in this case were XL bullies.
Matthew, thanks so much. Parisians have voted to triple parking costs for large SUVs in the latest attempt to reduce pollution and make the city more pedestrian and cyclist friendly. Well, the new charges mean it'll cost €18 or more than £15 per hour for non-residents to park in the city centre. Let's speak to our Europe correspondent, Adam Parsons. So, Adam, how many people are we talking about here? And does this change the rules for people that do live there, who presumably are the most likely to be parking their cars in the city centre?
It's an absolutely enormous metropolis. This affects 11 arrondissements in the centre of Paris. It is worth saying that of the people who were eligible to vote in this, so the citizens who live right in the middle of Paris, only a handful, just over 5%, actually bothered to vote, and only just over 50% voted to introduce these. swinging parking charges, and those in the wealthiest areas actually voted against them. So a relatively small number of people have actually voted in favour of these charges, but they could have a potentially significant impact, because what it does is triple the cost for people parking in the central zones and also in the arrondissement a little bit further out from the centre. And of course, these charges actually go up the longer you spend there. So if you were to park for 1 hour, it would now cost you €18, not €6. If you park for 6 hours, it will cost you €225. Now, there's a few caveats around this. We don't know when this is going to be introduced. We have no idea whether private car parks will follow suit or whether it will simply become a point that it's always cheaper to park in a private car park rather than sticking it on a street. The reality is that a lot of these parking spaces in the centre of Paris are reserved for those with residence permits anyway. You don't see an awful lot of these enormous SUVs in the city. But there is a political point here, which is the Mayor, Anne Hidalgo, wanting to say that she wants to oppose these because of air pollution, because the danger, she says, they pose to citizens. And let's also remember that later this year, Paris is hosting the Summer Olympics. This is a city that wants to show its best to the world, and the mayor clearly feels that getting big SUVs off the street is part of that PR campaign.
Adam, thanks so much. I just want to bring you a little bit more breaking news on the story Matthew Thompson was telling you moments ago about Esther Martin, the 68-year-old grandmother who died following an attack from dogs. And a 39-year-old man had been arrested, we mentioned that earlier, on suspicion of dangerous dog offences. Well, he has been released on conditional bail until March the 5th, Essex police have just said. Time for a quick look at the weather now.
Warm memories wherever you go. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Heavy rain and mountain snow in the north is edging south with colder air following. Expect some wintry hazards this week. It'll be mild for most today, although chilly in the brisk wind, cold in the far north.
Hey, Charlie, you're on your way to Ghana. Boy, oh boy, you stressed out, tired. Go, you're going to be resting. Okay, then let me recommend to you JN Mobile Spa in Accra, Ghana. Oh boy, JN Mobile Spa will provide organic care in massage. Are you stressed? Do you need rejuvenated, etc.? For your facials, maybe exfoliating, firming, and lifting? Then contact JN Spa on 00233244941 or 00233200606 and they will be right there on time. JN Mobile Spa, your health and beauty needs at your doorstep.
SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and intact? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination intact. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy. Hey, Charlie, you're on your way to Ghana. Boy, oh boy, you stressed out, tired? Go, you're going to be resting. Okay, then let me recommend to you JN Mobile Spa in Accra, Ghana. Oh boy, JN Mobile Spa, they provide organic care in massage. Are you stressed? Do you need rejuvenated, etc.? For your facials, maybe exfoliating, firming, and lifting? Then contact JN Spa on 00233244941 or 00233200606 and they will be right there on time. JN Mobile Spa, your health and beauty needs at your doorstep.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy. Hey, Charlie, you're on your way to Ghana. Boy, oh boy, you stressed out, tired. Go, you're going to be resting. Okay, then let me recommend to you JN Mobile Spa in Accra, Ghana. Oh boy, JN Mobile Spa, they provide organic care in massage. Are you stressed? Do you need rejuvenated, etc.? For your facials, maybe exfoliating, firming, and lifting? Then contact JN Spa on 00233244941 or 00233200606 and they will be right there on time. JN Mobile Spa, your health and beauty needs at your doorstep.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie, and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and the Morning Show. And the Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio UK. Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat. You make a doubt they fade, Jesus, and that's what makes you great. You hold the world in your hands, the hand that made me who I am. Same God now, yesterday, and forevermore. And that's what makes you great. You are God. You will never change. You remain the same to the end. To the end. You are God. One who took my pain, took away my shame. Lord, you reign. That's why forever call you great, great I.
Okay, let me say a massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. I want to salute you all and welcome you to the Monday edition of the morning show.
You Lord, great are you, Lord. Yes, I'll celebrate.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat. You make a dog fade.
Okay, so let me say good morning to you wherever you might be, or good afternoon, or good dawn, however and whatever way you want me to address it. Yes, it is a pleasure once again coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. We broadcast live from our studios here in Croydon, where we reach out to the world. So wherever you are, weekdays from 10 to 12:30 and 1, respectfully, we are able to bring you all the morning show. And then there are other programs that is coming your way. And there's going to be some new programs that we are not planning, but we are producing at the moment, getting it ready to come on air. So let me say good morning, and again, be in anticipation of good things. Yes, keep that diary open, or that day, or when those programs are going to come your way open, so that you will not miss out on it. They are very, very interesting programs that we are bringing your way. But let me say good morning to my able producer, Mr. Francis Gaye, Mr. Olaimi Koiki, massive good morning to you. Ohinbakofiadu said good morning. Anthony Adedeji, good morning. Aziz, good morning. Sam Shudin, good morning to you. Bishop Adeshina, massive good morning, and all your colleagues at the RBS office in Lagos, Nigeria. I salute each and every one of you. Felix, good morning to you. Kojodi, good morning. Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GIL Accountancy Service, our money man. I salute you. Baby Clement, good morning to you. KB Bossman, Vicky Newton, and all who have been supporting Star Radio UK in presentation and in production. I salute each and every one. Mr. Frank Davis, massive good morning to you as well. But wherever you are, share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
Okay, so good morning to HRH Linda Pallien, who will be joining us at 12:30. But this is how the program is going to go. If you have not listened to us before on a Monday edition of the morning show, I'm going to bring you the code for the day. The weather forecast will follow suit. Then we'll move on from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe. It's known as Global Trotting. The details of them follows from 11 o'clock. And then we continue from thence to bring you everything that you need to know at 11:30. The lines are opened so that you can join in the discussions if you want to. But you can put your comments on our Facebook page on all the platforms that we are broadcasting on. And I promise you one thing for sure, that I'm going to touch on it or read it out and acknowledge you as well. Then from there at 12 o'clock, I'll bring the first part of the program to close, and we'll take you to Cyprus, where we'll be having HRH in Pallien joining in to bring you Career 101. Then at 12:30, the curtains are brought down for the end of the program. So in Nigeria, that's going to be happening today. So once again, let me say welcome on board. Don't touch the dial. As I did say earlier on, we are doing our best to make sure that we can get Mr. Olaimi Koiki live, okay, or having a report on program. At the moment, one of the schedules is clashing with events, other events for the day. So we are doing our best to see how best to get him on. Yes, Yummy, good morning to you once again, and to the family as well. I hope you are all doing very, very well. I will be getting in touch with you later on during the course of the day. Dave West, massive good morning to you, and my own brother Isaac McKeever, he could say John West. John West, good morning to you all the way in the United States of America, Chicago to be specific. Comfort David, good morning to you. It's been a long time. Abiose, good morning to you, family. I hope you're all day. And McKeever as a whole, I salute each and every one of you. Ebenezer Hammond, good morning in Cape Town. Chantal, I hope you're all doing good. It's been quite a long time. Rosita, yes, massive good morning to you. Mrs. Rosita Gail Hammond in Ghana as well. I salute you, Rosita. I hope you are doing very, very well. My regards to Alfred as well, and to all the lovely ones at home. Yes, back in Ghana as well. And to the families in the US as well. I salute each and every one of you. But we kick off. Now the quote for the day says, different people may have different ideas. And oftentimes, lives are forever changed and great things accomplished when you look for ways other than yours to make a difference. Okay, when you look for ways other than yours to make a difference. So don't be myopic in thinking. Be open-minded and look at suggestions that is coming from other ideas. Maybe it could complement what you're doing. Why not? Okay, that's how you become great. All right then. Good morning once again. Let me say morning to Gina Latte. I hope you are doing very, very well. Okay then, and to Miss Donna Takia boy as well. Massive good morning to you. Now let's move on. Now, when it comes to the weather front, what has the weather got in stock for us? Yesterday was quite a wonderful day. Not too cold, a bit sunny, a bit cloudy, a bit sunny, but it was good. I remember walking around not wearing my jacket, just wearing a vest and my shirt, and that was good. I felt good. Now this afternoon will remain mainly overcast. It will continue to be dry for most, with just a small chance of some light rain or drizzle beneath the thickest cloud. Now it's going to be staying mild and windy as well. Tonight we'll see very similar conditions. Cloudy skies and staying mostly dry
with the odd spot of drizzle at times. However, turning windy with brisk southwesterly winds throughout. The temperature is going to be 12 degrees and the low is going to be 11 degrees. Very mild. UV level low, pollution low. Sunset 16:57 and sunrise for tomorrow morning 07:33 hours. And that brings us to the end of the weather forecast for you. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, let's move on to the travels wherever you are this morning. Well, on your travel this morning as well, on the underground, Central Line has got severe delays and minor delays. London Metropolitan Line has got minor delays. That aside, all the other underground services are running a good one there. Lines are running a good service there. Now, London Overground has got past suspension, but DLR and London Tramlink are also running a very good service there. And that takes us straight to the next segment. That is the major roads in London. Now, Central London Red roads have got serious delays. North Circular A406 serious delays. To the river bus as well, and it's running a good service throughout. The London Cable Car is also running a good service, taking us straight to the National Rail. What have I got in stock for you? Well. There are strikes and all sorts going on the National Railway. So let me tell you, only the ones that are running a good service, and that will deduce or let you know which ones are not running a good service. So, Afelsol trains are good service, Grand Central good service, Lumo good service, Merseyrail good service there, Southeastern good service there, Transport for Wales good service, and West Midlands Rail trains running a good service. All the others are running special or minor services. So, check before you minor delays or special service. So check before you embark on your journeys. So wherever you are, this is Starr Radio UK at 2 minutes to the top of the hour at a time. And let's take a quick break. We come back. I bring you all the stories that is making the rounds across the globe. And then we take a musical break and we come back to bring you all the details of it. So wherever you are, don't touch the dial. It is Starr Radio UK. It's your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancer taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancer taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Starr Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say order, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It's now 11 o'clock exactly. Let's go global trotting. Let me tell you what is happening from across the globe. Yes, a summary of it. Wherever you might be. And when it comes to Nigeria, where we're starting from, South Africa, presidency, Atiku clash over Tinubu's economic policies. Well, that's what opposition is meant to do. That is what the opposition is meant to do, They need to critique, whatever policies that government. So when it happens that, again, let me put it this way. It should be constructive criticism, not just criticizing for criticizing's sake. I remember back in the day, I had one friend. He was older than us, and then he said, as for me, I'm opposition leader, so I just criticize. I said, what do you criticize? Oh, yeah, because opposition leader. I said, no, you don't just criticize for criticizing's sake. You need to make sure that whatever criticism that you are putting across is one that will, when it's taken on board, will bring the best in whatever policies that the person is making. So, well done, Atiko, but is whatever you are suggesting or the criticism that you're putting across going to benefit Nigeria as a whole? Now, Shell and partners take final investment decision on gas supply to Dangote. Okay, let's see what that is going to do as well. But we know Dangote has gone to some U.S. company to arrange for crude oil supply there. Okay. In other stories making the rounds in Nigeria as well. Breaking up ADP and LP wins. Breaking. Okay, ADP, LP, and that is ADP and Labour Party win Senate reps rerun election in Plateau. I've got it right now. And then please tear gas Nigerian protesting hardship under Tinubu, and those are some of the stories there as well. Listeners, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Plateau crisis should Supreme Court reverse sack of 16 PDP lawmakers? That's a question on the lips of some APC supporters there as well. We'll be telling you more about all that. CBN, stop outbound international money transfer transaction. Limits inflow payout to Naira. Well, I'll be telling you more about that, because we know for sure that when we are here outside, those in the diaspora who have to be sending money home all the time, you look at it, and that means that whatever money we are sending home, that means that those people are not going to be able to cash in pounds or dollars or whichever, or euros or whichever, or safer or whichever monies or currency that they might have transferred in. They'll be giving them in Naira equivalent of that money. But do you think that is good enough? Okay, black market dollar to Naira exchange rate on 3rd of February. The story is making the round. And CBN stops outbound international money transfer transaction limits into inflow payout to Nigeria. So those are some of the stories that I'm going to be looking at from Nigeria this morning. So wherever you are, don't even think of touching the dial. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Yobe ex-governor Bukar Ibrahim dies in Saudi Arabia at 73. Buni mourns, and President Tinubu condoles with Namibia over the passing of President Haig Geingob. Okay, and Airpeace Eric Ada face sanctions by NCAA amidst rising flight delays. Last week they were talking about sanctioning the airlines, and that seems to be what is going on. And foreign investors interested in returning to Nigeria market. But the question is, that's Yemika also saying that, but the question is, do we have the security that will assure the safety of these people or these investors? That is a massive question on the lips of most people. Now, when it comes to other stories making the round, Namibia's president Geingob dies in hospital while receiving treatment. Namibia's president Geingob died on Sunday while receiving medical treatment. His office has announced he was 82. Geingob was undergoing treatment for cancer. 82-year-old had colonoscopy and a gastroscopy on January 8th, followed by a biopsy. His office said last month. Anglo Mbomba, Namibia's acting president, called for calm, saying in the same post that the cabinet will convene with immediate effect in order to make the necessary state arrangements in this regard. Geingob, who was president of Southern African nation since 2015, was set to finish his second and final term in office this year. In 2014, he said he had survived prostate cancer. Namibia is set to hold elections to choose a new leader in November this year. How is the transition going to be like? Lots more going to be coming your way from there. And South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa celebrates Tyler's historic Grammy win, and then Ivory Coast and South Africa reach Africa Cup semi-finals as well. Okay, now Namibia's president, Senegal Macky Sall has postponed presidential elections in Senegal. How is that going to pan out for them there? Because already we knew that there was some unrest going on. Well, lots more going to be coming your way from there as well. And then when it comes to Ghana, well, everybody seems to be mourning the president of Namibia, Akufo-Addo, the president of Ghana, is also mourning with the people of Namibia, President Haji Geingob as well. And 67th Independence Day celebration will be devoid of partisan politics. The National Planning Committee for the 67th Independence Day parade to be held in Koforidua has assured a politically neutral celebration despite being an election year. The event, scheduled for March 6, 2023, is part of I will tell you more about all that. Now, 25 people arrested for an attack on police at Kwewu Bepong. Air quality in Accra unhealthy. That's what the Ghana Meteorological Agency, GMET, is also saying. 2024 election, Ghana can't afford a contentious election over hasty reforms. Professor Achu is saying. You want to do no more? You got to stay with me. You don't have to touch the dial. It is Starr Radio UK. Now, Burkina Faso has said that the president of Ghana is a liar for saying that Burkina Faso's military calls out Akufo-Addo over Wagner claims. Akufo-Addo said that, Burkina Faso was harboring the Wagner mercenaries there who are doing all sorts, but they're saying no, that's not the case. Well, interestingly, I think this person is putting his neck on the line. The founder of Hezekiah Apostolic Prayer Ministry, Apostle Kwabena Owusu-Ejei, has thrown a challenge to the opposition National Democratic Congress regarding the choice of running mate for the 2024 presidential election. Speaking at a press conference held at the International Press Center in Accra, a confident Apostle Ejei stated that the only way the former president, John Dramani Mahama, flag bearer of the NDC, can win the 2024 election is by settling on one Leslie Tamaklo as his running mate. He said, "My name is Apostle Kwabena Owusu-Ejei, and I am advertising my God, the God of Bethel." Genesis 31 and 13. It says, "I am the God of Bethel." I am saying these are the words of God of Bethel. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, correct your mistakes from 2020. Go to the voter reading. Choose Leslie Mensah Tamaklo as your running mate. You will win hands down. NDC, you have the opportunity and the possibility to rule for 30 good years. Oh my goodness, he stated. While expressing his confidence in his prophecy, Apostle Mensah stated that he would offer himself to be lynched if NDC wins the election without naming Leslie Tamaklo as running mate. So do you think that men of God will have to now come into this particular arena? Well, when I talk about this arena, I'm talking about politics and saying things of the sort and offering himself to be lynched if it happens that what he says doesn't happen. Okay, Starr Radio UK, 10 past the top of the hour, and still bringing you some of the stories making the rounds this morning. In other stories making the rounds across the globe, Blinken heads to Middle East after latest U.S. strikes on Houthis. The U.S. Secretary of State is making his fifth visit to the region since the Hamas attack on Israel on the 7th of October. At least 112 killed in Chile, wildfires, and Chinese ships port calls fans India tensions. Okay, a Chinese research ship imminent arrival at Mil has increased tensions between Beijing and Delhi. And Celine Dion makes surprise appearance at Grammys. The singer receives a standing ovation after making a rare public appearance. Few years on, she was suffering and she wasn't feeling that well. She looked ill. But now, if she's appeared there, that means that she's doing something good or she's feeling much better. Rapper Killer Mike detained at Grammy ceremony. The rapper was booked on a misdemeanor charge following an altercation. Police told media. Well, they came there to come and arrest him after he's received all his awards. That's an interesting one, you know. Okay. Now, in other stories making the rounds here in the UK as well, a woman has been killed by dogs while trying to calm puppies. A daughter says Esther Martin's daughter said the animals were banned ex-bully dogs, but police are still establishing the breed. I feared Clapham attack girl would die in my arms. A witness who came to the rescue of an assaulted 3-year-old tells the BBC she rushed her to the hospital. Prime Minister, we've failed to cut NHS waiting list. Rishi Sunak concedes the government hasn't made enough progress on one of his key pledges. Now, how many of them they failed on? Now, jockey 25 dies after fall at horse race in Kent. Now, tributes are being paid to Keegan Kirby, who was riding when his horse ran into the side of a jam. And former Scottish Labour leader admits voting SNP Kezia Dugdale. She backed the party at the 2019 European Parliament election because of Brexit. And the 5 betrayed as health declines. Experts highlight child obesity, tooth decay, and infant death, saying urgent actions needed in the UK. And then the CBI has settled legal action brought by sacked boss. The business group agrees a settlement with Tony Dunker after he was dismissed following some allegation there. And Rishi Sunak and Varadkar at Starmont amid funding call. Lots more going to be coming your way. Do you think that maybe in the next 10 years or something we will see Northern Ireland coming together, unifying with the Republic of Ireland? After all, they are brethren. And what is wrong with that? I mean, some people think, no, we are not together, so we need to split up. Others are thinking, look, we are brethren. You talk about the North and the South Korea. They say, we are brethren. We speak the same. So we want to be together. And some people say, no, we're not going to allow you. That's the same thing that is applying here in Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland. But there are some people in Northern Ireland as well who are advocating just to be part of the UK. They don't want to be part of the Republic of Ireland. So how do we do it? Maybe it's a referendum, I know. But wherever you are, let's enjoy this tune, and I will be back with you to bring you everything you gotta know. And this is a song from the new song, and it says Dihine, that means reign or rule, whatever the situation is. Talking about God ruling in our affairs. Enjoy it, and I'll be with you. Stay tuned.
I
is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, doing it, reign and rule. Okay, saying God should reign and rule in our affairs or in our lives always. And that is a lovely tune that is coming all the way from the wonderful, what do you call them? Group, yes, from the Pentecost Odoko group there as well. Okay, yes, so it's now time for us to go into details with all the stories that is making the rounds this morning. This is Starr Radio UK. This is the Monday edition of the morning show. What the time now? Exactly more at 11:22, and Yomi will say we are default position press with time. So let's kick off. Okay, so going straight to Nigeria, just bring you some of the stories making the rounds there. Atiku presidency Atiku clash over Tinubu's economic policies. The presidency and ex-vice president Atiku Abubakar on Sunday traded words over the state of the Nigerian economy and the monetary policies of President Bola Tinubu. In a post on the X, Atiku, the 2023 presidential candidate for the People's Democratic Party, said there is hunger in the land as basic commodities including bread are becoming out of reach for the average Nigerian. However, in a swift response, the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onunuga, said Atiku has embarked on a mission as a poor opposition in chief, noting that the reforms the Tinubu government will cause immediate pains but will usher in an era of prosperity in the medium and long terms. Atiku blamed the economic challenges in the country on the poor policies of Tinubu, the All Progressive Congress candidate and the eventual winner of the last poll. Now, Tinubu's poor response to Nigeria's economic challenges is setting a stage for prolonged and deeper domestic economic crisis. The ex-vice president said, quote unquote, his economic policies drawn from a so-called renewed hope agenda are ironically dashing hopes, creating pain and causing despair. The private sector is shrinking by the day as small businesses are emasculated and as multinational companies confused and wary of the economy. Now, leaving Nigerians in droves, the intense cost of living pressure has created more misery for the poor in towns and villages. Atiku also criticized the 2024 28.7 trillion naira maiden budget of Tinubu, saying it is bereft of concrete ideas and actions that will support Nigeria's journey towards economic transformation. The opposition leader said Tinubu has no capacity to deal with the adverse and disastrous impact of the new subsidy regime on the people and the businesses and the new foreign exchange policy, which provides for a free floating exchange rate. His initiatives are literally uninformed, arbitrary, and chaotic. Atiku said Tinubu came into office unprepared, and his men have found a pastime blaming the economic woes of the country on the previous government. Tinubu and his economic management team must swallow their pride, admit their missteps and failures, and follow those who know the terrain. They must act fast before the economy sinks deeper into the abyss, he said. Well, what do you see? What do you think? Do you see Nigerians suffering? And yes, definitely, as my Bishop Adesina did say, he said, tough times are ahead. Well, but they're saying that no, we need to introduce some policies that will tighten belt, and then we'll be able to have a brighter future. So he's saying that is what exactly they are doing. But I think we reckons that, well, whatever thing that is going on is something that is going to land the economy of the country into an abyss. But what do you think about all that? Tell us more. Nigerians on Sunday experienced its first power grid collapse in 2024. throwing major cities into total blackout. The Abuja Electricity Distribution Company confirmed the incident and said the collapse occurred at about 11:21 hours. The management of the Abuja Electricity Distribution PLC wishes to inform its valued customers that the power outage being experienced is as a result of a system failure from the national grid at 11:21 hours. That was the 4th of February 2024, which had led to the nationwide power outage. Be rest assured that we are working with the relevant stakeholders to restore power as soon as the grid is stabilized, it said. Now, meanwhile, a check at the hourly generation data from the system operator showed that at least as of 12 p.m. on Sunday, generation dropped from 3,852 megawatts to 59.90 megawatts. Oh wow, that is bad, man. So as of the time, all about 20 generating plants went off the grid except for Ibom Power and Azura Edo gas generating 31.90 megawatts and 28 megawatts respectively. But at 1 p.m. the grid picked up to 177 megawatts up till 6 p.m. 1,321. Reacting to the development, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, in a statement on Sunday night, described the incident as a partial disturbance. Now, according to the company, prior to the partial disturbance, low power generation persisted since January 2024, saying this has been exacerbating daily due to the lingering gas constraints. In a statement issued by the company's spokesperson, Mrs. Ndidi Mba said it's initiated immediate restoration of the affected part of the grid. Presently, the grid is fully restored, it said. The statement reads, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, hereby states that the grid experienced a partial disturbance at about 11:21 hours today, with Ibom Power islanded, feeding Ekim, Itu, and Uyo transmission substations during the period of partial disturbance. According to the National Control Center, the Internet of Things, IoT, revealed that just before the partial disturbance, which occurred at 11:21 hours, Sapele Steam and Igbin substation lost a total of 29.32 megawatts and 343.84 megawatts. This combined with the current low power generation due to gas constraints caused the imbalance, leading to the partial system of disturbance. Now, Nigeria exports gas. They are even thinking of exporting some gas to Morocco and some part of Italy as well. Well, the other time we're talking about the fact that the pipes that are supposed to be carrying this gas, they were trying to see to expediting its being laid or being put together there. But how come that this same country that is exporting gas to the outside world are not enjoying it, so that we can say Nigeria, because they export those gas? I know they export gas to Ghana as well back in the day. I don't know whether they are still doing that, but they were also exporting that. And definitely that means that Benin and Togo are also enjoying that as well. I know that, is it Burkina Faso or Mali or Niger? I think Niger also imports gas from Nigeria as well. So you look at all these things and then you ask yourself the question, what exactly is going on there? Do we cut our noses to spite our face trying to just do all that thing outside, yet at home we are struggling with power? What do you think about that? Let me know. It is Starr Radio Station, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, on the Monday edition of the morning show. Now, moving on to some other stories making the rounds this morning. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, Shell and partners take final investment decision on gas supply to Dangote. The Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria and its joint venture partners, Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, Total Energies EP, blah, 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 have taken the final investment decision to build a dedicated upstream facility to supply 100 million standard cubic feet of gas per day to Dangote fertilizer and petrochemical plants in Lekki, Lagos State. The deal is for an initial period of 10 years, according to Energy Times. The managing director of the SPDC, operator of the joint venture, Osaji Okumbo, disclosed this at the weekend in Port Harcourt, describing the FID a significant step in supporting the Nigerian government's decade of gas ambitions. The investment decision is a critical step in pursuing the development of the gas-rich Izeni field, which is part of the Opunkunu cluster in oil mining lease 35 located in Sabama local government area at Bayelsa State. Now, Kumbo said, adding that SPDC and its joint ventures partners remain committed to Nigeria decades of gas ambition, and particularly the domestic gas agenda. According to Okumbo, increasing the delivery of natural gas to the domestic market is key to accelerated industrialization and economic development of Nigeria. And that is a question that I'm asking this morning. That's a question that I've been asking myself. That's a question I've been asking myself. That's the question I've been asking myself this morning. Can't Nigeria supply itself and make itself, have enough to power their own country? Can't we do that? Don't we have the means to do that? Or is it that some few people who do their best because they are selling, what is it? Because they are selling, what do they sell? Generators and that's apartment neighbor, right? Yes, and all stuff, and therefore they do everything possible to sabotage power coming from the national grid to supply ordinary people who cannot afford this. Well, it is All Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, now let's move on. Let's move on to some other stories. A quick one from there as well. Now, this is that will be the last one from Nigeria because we need to be able to bring all the other stories that is making them. Police here, gas Nigerians are protesting hardship under Tinubu. Information coming through is saying the police have fired tear gas canisters at dozens of Nigerians protesting the increase in hardship under President Bola Tinubu's government in Minna. Now, reports coming through says that Niger state capital of Nigeria increasingly difficult economic situation. In a video on X on Monday morning, dozens of Minna residents took to major roads to express their displeasure over the rising cost of food in the country. Our reporters observed that the protesters blocked major roads in Minna metropolis to protest the increasing hardship in the country. The protesters, who were mostly a group of women, blocked Minna Bida Road at the popular Pakungu roundabout to express their grievances over the rising cost of food items. They were later joined by men who stopped vehicles from moving. The efforts by the police to control the crowd almost resulted in violence as protesters asked police to leave, forcing the police to fire several shots in the air. Now, one of the youths, Ibrahim Ghana, lamented that the rice was sold at the cost of 2,000 naira per mudu. What is mudu? Is it that container? At Minna market, while maize was 1,000 per measure. Now, the federal government needs to take action to reduce the hardship being faced by poor Nigerians. Things are becoming unbearable. But they're saying
They are doing their best. Look to the future. Look to the future. Okay, one final story because this from this week. The Central Bank of Nigeria has restricted the operation of international money transfer operators to only inbound transfers, stopping outbound transfers. This implies that IMTOs can no longer facilitate money transfers from Nigeria to other countries, according to the revised guidelines for the operation of IMTOs, which were officially released on January 31, 2024. It is a notable departure from the 2014 guidelines, which permitted the operators to engage in allowable inbound and outbound international money transfer transaction. Now, stating the permissible activities of the operators, the new document read: 1. The permissible activities of international money transfer operators shall include inbound international money transfer transactions only. The transaction shall be limited to the following activities: the acceptance of money for the purpose of transmitting them to persons resident in Nigeria, cross-border personal money transfer services such as money transfer services towards family maintenance, money transfer services in favor of foreign tourists visiting Nigeria. The money transfer service shall target individual customers, and the transaction shall be on person-to-person, business-to-person, and business-to-business transfers basis, which may be reviewed by the CBN from time to time. The CBN recent decision to restrict IMTOs to inbound transfers only marks a significant shift in the regulatory landscape for foreign exchange and remittance services in Nigeria. That is a tough time. That is really a tough time. So if I'm in Nigeria now and my children here, if I go on a visit in Nigeria now and my children here says that can you send us some money, I will not be able to remit from Nigeria. Unless, of course, using my own bank, using the accounts that I have here, then I'll be able to transfer. I can do an internet transfer from one account to them. But not that I'm resident in Nigeria and I'm transferring money outside the country. So those who have got their words outside the country, how would they be able to transfer those monies to them? That's going to be an interesting time. Wow. Listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And that brings us to the end of the stories making the rounds in Nigeria. As I did say, we need to move on to some other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. Let me pick other stories, a couple of stories from the African continent as well, because it's getting to 12, where we'll have to take you to Cyprus, where HRH Linda Pallien is going to be. Namibia's president, Archie died on Sunday while receiving medical treatment. His office has announced he was 82. In a post on the social media platform X, formerly, the Namibia president said Gingob's medical team, the Lady Pohamba Hospital did its best to help him, but Gingob died with his wife Monica Gingos and children by his side. Gingob was undergoing treatment for cancer. The 82-year-old had a colonoscopy and gastroscopy on January 8, followed by a biopsy, his office said last month. Angolo Mbumba, Namibia's acting president, called for calm, saying in the same post that the cabinet will convene with immediate effect in order to make the necessary state arrangements in this regard. Now, Gingob, who was president of the South African nation since 2015, was set to finish his second and final term in office this year. In 2014, he said he had survived prostate cancer. Namibia is set to hold elections to choose a new leader in November. It is Starr Radio UK. May his soul rest in perfect peace, and to his family, our condolences, and to Namibia as a whole, our condolences to all of them. This is Starr Radio UK, and this is the favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Now, in Senegalese President Macky Sall has postponed the presidential election due later this month in a decree announced on Saturday, citing controversies over the disqualification of some candidates and allegation of corruption in election-related cases. Now, Sall said he signed a decree repealing the law that convened the electoral body just as campaigning was set to begin for February 25 election. Now, in one of the West Africa's most stable democracies. For my party, okay, let me take it again. For my part, my solemn commitment not to run in the presidential election remains unchanged. Finally, I will engage in an open national dialogue to bring together the conditions for a free, transparent, and inclusive election, the Senegalese leader said, without announcing a new date for the vote. The decision comes just hours before the start of the election campaign and follows the establishment of a parliamentary commission investigating the integrity of 2 judges from the Constitutional Council. The President Starr revealed that he had revoked his earlier decree, which set the election for February 25 after concerns were raised about the integrity of the electoral process. This unprecedented move in Senegal marks the first direct universal suffrage presidential election delay since 1963. In his address, President Starr expressed his commitment to initiating an open national dialogue to ensure conditions for a free, transparent, and inclusive election. Although he did not specify a new date, initially elected in 2012 for a 7-year term and re-elected in 2019 for 5 years, President Starr had earlier declared that he will not seek another term, designating Prime Minister Amadou Ba as his successor. The Constitutional Council had excluded several candidates from the election, including opposition figures Ousmane Sonko and Karim Wade, sparking controversy. The political landscape in Senegal is now in flux, with the postponement raising questions about the country's electoral process and the challenges faced by the opposition candidates who were disqualified. So is it something to do so that he can get all the opposition candidates on? So let's run for the election. Let's see what happens. But let's see some of the reaction that is coming from some of the opposition members. The decision to postpone the presidential election in Senegal was well received by the former ruling Democratic Party, whose presidential candidate is Karim Wade. Now, Wade supporters were seen celebrating the postponement of the February 25 presidential election by President Starr. This follows, among other things, the dispute between their candidate and the Constitutional Council, accused of corruption by the former ruling party. We magnify this decision because it is a decision that renders justice. We magnify this decision by the President of the Republic to postpone the election because we could not organize this election without Brother Abdul Karim Meza Wade, who is the only viable, reliable alternative for the emergence of this country, said Frank Daddy Dieta, a youth leader of the Jeunesse Liberal. Now, several opposition figures rejected President Macky Sall's decision to postpone the election, with at least 2 of the 20 presidential candidates saying they would proceed with the campaign scheduled to kick off on Sunday. How can you proceed with that? Well, you don't know the date that the election is going to be taking place. There's no election going to be taking place there as well. So what do you think? This is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, as I did say earlier on, pertaining to Ghana as well, a preacher man has put his neck on the line, saying that lynch me if Mahama wins without Leslie Tamaklo. So he was proposing that the president has to run with Leslie Tamaklo as his running mate, and then that will bring about their victory. However, he says that if it happens at the end is he wins that election, that is the president, the presidential candidate or the former president John Mahama wins that election without Leslie Tamaklo, then he, the apostle Hezekiah, the founder of Hezekiah Apostolic Prayer Ministry, Apostle Kwabena Owusu Eje, has said that he will provide or present himself or out for being lynched. And that is a serious statement that he has made. Now, is it that Mahama is looking at maybe appointing someone else other than this Leslie Tamaklo? And in Leslie Tamaklo, the one, where has he been? I've not heard of him that much. Somebody will say because you've not been on the ground there. Maybe Mr. Frank Davis and all those who are on the ground will be able to tell you that, well, this is exactly what is happening. But what do you think? He's put his neck on the line. Quite interesting, isn't it? Well. In other stories as well, in Ghana, one that, pertaining to what the president said about Burkina Faso and the fact that they have harboring Wagner mercenaries there. Burkina Faso's military head of state, Ibrahim Traoré, has forcefully rejected allegation made by Ghana's president, Nana Akufo-Addo, regarding Burkina Faso purported involvement with Russian mercenaries Wagner Group. In an interview, Alain Foka, President Traoré, without mentioning specific names, labeled the statement as false and emphasized that the accusations made last year are baseless. Unfortunately, he said, we have seen heads of state who fell into that lies and went to tell a lie that we supposedly gave mines in our southern part to Russia. That is a lie, he said. Why give? If the Russians want a mine, we have our mining code. They come, they integrate and acquire license. They pay their taxes and everything they have to do like everyone else. So there is nothing we give the Russians, he stated. Akufo-Addo has asserted during the U.S. Africa Summit in Washington last year that Burkina Faso had engaged Russian mercenaries, particularly the Wagner forces, and suggested that Burkina Faso was compensating them with a mine. Now, if they decide to compensate them with a mine, now somebody will say, look at all the colonial masters, the colonial countries, and what they did to the African country. So, if Burkina Faso decide that, look, for our security purposes and everything, we don't have the means to pay them. Okay, so like we go take loans. So this is they hiring security for their own protection and using that to mortgage that for their security. What's wrong with that? It's like taking loan and getting other people to come and be protecting you. Well. It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'm bringing the time now to 11 minutes to 12, and at exactly at 12 o'clock we'll be crossing over to Cyprus, where we'll be having HRH Linda Pallien bringing you Career 101. Alright, now here in the UK as well, okay, let me bring you one other story from other parts of the world and then we'll move on from there. And this is a sad one from Chile. The President Gabriel Boric has announced a state of emergency as forest fires scorch the Valparaiso region. The story says, now it is believed to be Chile's deadliest forest fire on record. Now many of those affected were visiting the coastal region during the summer holidays. A health alert was put in place in Valparaiso by the health ministry. The ministry called for the suspension of elective surgeries and authorized temporary field hospitals to be set up. So that's how bad the situation is. The medicine students nearing the end of their studies will be hired to help ease pressure on the health services, the ministry announced in the same statement. Now, rescue services have struggled to reach the most badly affected areas, and Interior Minister Carolina Toja said the death toll will reach much higher figure in the coming hours. The Chilean government has urged people not to travel to the area hit by the fires. And I have a picture before me, houses that have been burned down. See them nice edifices, but they've all been burned down. A 61-year-old resident from El Oliva described the ordeal as hell. Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. One other story from the international front. Well, the expected arrival of a Chinese research ship in the Maldives this week has escalated tensions between Beijing, Delhi, and Mali. Now, officially, the vessel Xiang Yang Wong 3 is there to make a port call for rotation of personnel and replenishment. In short, an entirely no coals store. But that is not how it's being seen in Delhi. Now, instead, the ship's presence is at the very least a diplomatic snub. At worst, some fear it could be a mission to collect data which could, at a later date, be used by the Chinese military in submarine operations. Now, China experts, however, have shrugged off their concerns. The Chinese ships carry out a scientific research work in the Indian Ocean. Its activities on the high sea are entirely legitimate, Zhu Bo, a former People's Liberation Army senior colonel, said. Well, this sunrise is not a balloon, but it's a ship, a research ship, data ship, collecting data. Collecting data from who? Well, they said they are not there to be collecting any data, but they're going to be exchanging personnel to be doing all sorts there. But what do you think about all that? Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, a woman has been killed in a dog attack. A woman who has been killed in a dog attack been trying to distract fighting puppies with a broom, her daughter says. Now, Esther Martin, 68, died in Yorwick near Clacton on Sea, Essex, on Saturday while visiting her grandson. A 39-year-old man has been bailed on suspicion of dangerous dog offenses, and the two animals have been destroyed. Mrs. Martin's daughter said the animal were Band XL bully dogs, but police said they were waiting for the breed to be confirmed by experts. Now, Sonia Martin, 47, said her mother from Woodford Green, London, had been in a house on Hillman Avenue visiting her 11-year-old grandson at the time of the attack. There were adult XL bully dogs in the property, and my mom had raised concerns to the owners about them being dangerous and quite aggressive, she said. There were also 6 puppies. Miss Martin said she believed the puppies had been fighting and that her mother had been told by the dog's owner earlier to put a broom in among them to distract them. That is when she was attacked. A very sad way to go. But Chief Superintendent Glenn Pavlin from SS Police said the suspect relationship to Miss Martin, who was a grandmother of 8 and grandmother of 3, was familial. Now, on Monday, police said they were making good progress in the investigation despite the number of complexities. Miss Martin said she received a knock at the door from a local police officer at her home in Chesterfield, Derbyshire, at 22 hours, informing her that her mother was seriously hurt. Listeners, this is Starr Radio UK. This is the Monday edition of the morning show. Well, the perpetrator of that acid attack is still on the run. However, there's a bounty of 20 grand on his head now. And a woman has been talking about how she saw the young girl who had the acid poured on her as well, and how she managed to rush her to the hospital. But the police are saying that anyone who has information to bring about the arrest of this man will have an amount of 20 grand, up to 20 grand coming their way. So, what about that? You can go scouting, but information is saying that he's a dangerous man, and therefore people have to be cautious or careful when he's being approached. Well, it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, still bringing you some more stories before we bring the first part of the program to a close and take you to Cyprus, where we have our own HRH Linda Pallien all ready to bring you everything that you need to know. In this time round, I found a story from Northern Ireland. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and twice Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar have visited Stormont to mark the return of power sharing in Northern Ireland. It is Sunak's 7th visit as Prime Minister, but the first in which the Northern Ireland has a fully functioning government. He met Northern Ireland's political leaders, including First Minister Michelle O'Neill and Deputy First Minister Emma Little-Pengley. Now, ministers in the Northern Ireland Executive, including the First and Deputy First Ministers, have written to Sunak calling for urgent talks on how Northern Ireland is funded. It comes days after the devolved government returned after the Democratic Unionist Party ended its 2-year boycott. Now, last week, the party agreed a deal with the government over post-Brexit trade rules on goods moving between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. But you know what I've been saying? I was saying that why should one party be able to hold a whole country to ransom? Because they lost the election, because they don't hold the majority any longer? And they think that was okay? Maybe there should be some reforms there. But again, the formation of that parliament there, it makes it difficult for you to come. So I don't know how it's going to be initiated. However, we have the new Northern Ireland minister, or First Minister, saying that, well, they're going to be having, maybe come the next 10 years, there's a tendency that they will be having a referendum as to whether Northern Ireland wants to be part of the Republic of Ireland. And I say they are all on the same island. Eventually they move together, do everything together. It's like the North and the South Korea. But this time around, not with heavy military fenced walls and military presence there. Not like that. But listeners, this is Starr Radio UK. And this is where I bring the program to a close. The first part of the program to a close. I'll take you to Cyprus, where we're going to be having our own HRH Linda Pallien. So wherever you are, don't touch the dial. Starr Radio, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's take a break. Once we come back, I will be bringing you Career 101 with HRH Linda Pallien. Stay tuned. Don't touch the dial.
Hey, Charlie, you're on your way to Ghana. Boy, oh boy, you stressed out, tired. Go, you're going to be resting. Okay, then let me recommend to you JN Mobile Spa in Accra, Ghana. Oh boy, JN Mobile Spa, they provide organic care in massage. Are you stressed? Do you need rejuvenated, etc.? For your facials, maybe exfoliating, firming, and lifting? Then contact JN Spa on 00233244941 or 00233200606 and they will be right there on time. JN Mobile Spa, your health and beauty needs at your doorstep.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medase.
Or it's normally spoken about it in the job change sense. But transferable skills applies to you in education, whether you're going for promotion as well, that you can still use your transferable skills there. And of course, if you're changing your jobs. So we'll get straight to it. We'll define what transferable skills are. We'll talk about some of the skills that are considered really noteworthy transferable skills. And then I will share with you a skills checklist as well that you can check to see if you have any of these. And I promise you, at any level, whether you're just starting out, whether you've never had a job before, you have some transferable skills. And the thing about transferable skills, it relies on your ability to communicate this, to recognize that you have it and be able to express to a potential recruiter or a potential boss that you possess them. So we'll go straight to it. Transferable skills, to define it, is an ability or an expertise that could be used in a variety of roles. Any ability or expertise that can be used in a variety of roles. You develop it as you progress through your employment, through your education, or through your training as well. And they can be used, again, as we said, in education. So even if you're moving on from high school to senior school to grad school to PhD, some of these transferable skills, you'll use it in your application to go into these roles. So it's really important. And also in your personal lives, in your vocational training, but in your personal life, you can use transferable skills. So for example, if you're a really diplomatic person, you can use that in a fight against your spouse, or you it's called transferable skills for a reason. It transfers into diverse situations. Ability to calm a situation down, or on the opposite end of the spectrum, to escalate a situation. That's skill. Okay, so now that we're clear on what transferable skills are in the career context, I'm going to share with you when you would need these. We've kind of spoken about this. There's a really good quote from Will Smith about talent and skill, which I will read verbatim from the book, what he says. The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, for people who have dreams or who want to do things. So talent is an ability you have naturally, and skill is only developed through hours and hours of working on your craft. That's a direct quote from Will Smith. Talent you have naturally, skill is developed through hours and hours of working on your craft. So when we're talking about transferable skills, it also includes your talent. And a lot of people say, well, I'm good at drawing. How does that relate to, for example, a job that I may have? Well, actually, if you're good at drawing, you're good at conceptualizing ideas and recreating them in tangible, visible, physical forms. And you can use that whether you're doing software programming, where again, you're taking someone's idea, I want a beautiful website that does blah, 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 and you conceptualize that wish and desire of the customer into what they perceive as a website. Those are transferable skills directly from your drawing that you can use in, let's say, the software programming field. So it's not just that you have one skill and you're stuck with that. It's being able to explore it and showcase, because you wouldn't necessarily have all of the experience that is sought after in a particular job or in a particular position. But if you can show that you've done this before in a different context and you can apply it into this context, then it works as good evidence of showcasing your skills. You may have heard a lot of people say, well, I grew up with 8 people in the household, I know how to manage people. That is a good example of transferable skills. And it's not it doesn't take away because it was in the household setting. I mean, you at the end of the day, you're still talking to people, and they can relate to managing people, to managing your siblings, to managing your kids, to managing a household, to the household budget, to be able to manage the finances of the company. It does translate, and it's equally valid. So I really want to reassure you, if you're listening to this and thinking, well, I don't have any transferable skills, dig a little deeper. I want to challenge you to dig a little deeper.
Okay. Now, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. Career 101 with HRH Linda Pallien. As we've said this morning, you are supposed to listen to us. Whether you are a student, whether you are a graduate, whether you are work, whatever you are. Okay, it's very important because we are looking at transferable skills, especially when we are in a time where today you have a job, tomorrow they say that is no more, and you need to find something else. What do you have to say that with this I can also now tend to be this? But Linda, you did talk about I don't know whether from the definition that Will Smith gave, but it looks like someone is asking the question. So until somebody polishes their talent, you cannot call it a skill. Is that it?
Not necessarily. You can have a natural skill, but if you can have a natural talent, but if you don't work on it to polish it, whoever works on it and doesn't even have that natural talent will for sure overtake you.
Okay.
That regards. Okay. So there's, you can sit on gold and do nothing with it. Take it and turn it into a beautiful jewelry and up the value. Think about how you may have a natural talent to sing, but you probably still need singing lessons and practice to be able to use it in the best possible format. And this is with your natural talents.
Thank you very much. I think that's a good one there. So if you are listening to us, you are talented. Yes, you need to work on it, and it can be a very good skill for you. All right then, over to you, Linda.
Fantastic. I'm going to share with you 15 of the top and most sought after transferable skills for employers. And then I'm going to share with you some of the key skills, and we're going to break it down so that into a checklist that you can just tick off. So the first one, in no particular order, is management. We've alluded to that. If you've managed people, you've managed a treasury, you've been in charge of anything. Management can really be a really good transferable skill that you can use to demonstrate your leadership qualities. So definitely look for areas in your life where you've managed something, whether it's a church choir, whether you've managed a Sunday school group, whether you've managed a club, or even organized an activity. You can use those activities as evidence of management for your transferable skills. The second one is problem solving, and this is such a key skill for any employer. Your ability to solve problems. Nobody wants someone who's going to come to them with every little problem and ask what to do. Every manager is looking for, every employer is looking for someone who can think on their feet, who can be creative, who can come up with solutions, even if they don't act on it, or suggest solutions at least to be considered, rather than being a chicken little, the sky is falling all the time. It's not helpful. And especially if you're in employment right now, if you're looking for ways to boost your profile as an employee and to get a raise or to get a promotion, again, problem solving will be definitely a key skill to have. The third one is analytical reasoning. And this is the ability to be able to look objectively at information and deduce useful data out of it. So being able to analyze a given data is really important to employers. Analytical reasoning. So if you don't know what that is, it's part of problem solving, but it's really identifying a solution and finding logical solutions to a company's problems. That definitely is very sought after. And then following on from that, we have critical thinking. Critical thinking, to again using a problem solving and analytical reasoning, but also to be able to decipher what a fact is and what the truth is. There's a difference between fact and truth.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at the evidence and evaluating that and deciding which information is more opinion and which one is based on fact, to back up a decision that you'll take. That is critical thinking. And you know, this is a subject that is taught in some secondary schools in England, or you can do a lot of courses. I don't even want to restrict this to England, because you can do a lot of online courses for free on critical thinking to sharpen these skills. And for me, that is a very valuable skill to have in any employee, regardless of whatever position you're doing. Even if you're doing something that doesn't involve maths or what is traditionally white-collar jobs, understanding how to critically think makes you a standout employee and definitely a good candidate. Or even exhibiting these on your CV or in your applications will help you. So it's not just enough to be it, but to be able to communicate it and demonstrate that you have these skills.
Okay.
The next skill is leadership. This is the fifth skill we're on about, leadership. Leadership abilities, being able to take the lead on a project, get a team to get behind your ideas and follow you and accomplish a shared goal. Again, leadership skills. You can't go wrong with having leadership skills, regardless of where you're starting from. Leadership skills, to be able to supervise and manage a team, again, priceless. Number 6, adaptability. Can you adapt to a given scenario? Because life isn't a constant, you know, things change all the time. And something might happen at work, you might not be, your boss might not always be present to tell you what to do. Can you adapt and make the most out of a situation? I always use this example because I think it's my favorite. The late Kofi Annan, how he became UN Secretary General when there was a to have, and his boss was flying in the air, and he had to step in and make a decision, which then demonstrated that he was good enough to become UN Secretary General. So again, if you're able to be adaptable and pivot and adapt to change as it's happening and maintain a positive attitude whilst you're doing it and get your work done, wow, who doesn't want that person to work for them? Who doesn't want that person to be in their corner working on? Our seventh skill is teamwork. Teamwork, no man is an island. Whether you're doing a project, let's use this example of drawing. You may think, oh, well, in my profession, I work alone. You gave me the brief. But again, you're working for someone, with someone. You need that teamwork skill, that you don't rub people up the wrong way. You're able to listen to others and be able to build a relationship with people to achieve a common goal. Right? And again, that would really help. And even if it's, as we said in your drawing, if you're working within National Association of Artists, for example, there you go, that's a team. There's people that work individually but part of the consortium. So definitely you need teamwork skills to accomplish any goal. And then communication. Communication is our eighth skill. Communication, again, another priceless skill. To be able to interpret a piece of information in a way that, or relate a piece of information in a way that people understand it, they don't take offense. It's clear, everyone knows what they're doing. It's clear and concise and unambiguous. It's a very useful skill, whether it's in writing, emails, text messages, writing press releases, whatever it is, written communication you're doing, whether it's oral communication, whether you're giving a speech, or maybe doing a briefing, taking notes or minutes at meetings, to be able to communicate effectively will really help you. Last week we did those skills that will stand you in good stead, and again, communication was one of them, right, that you need. So definitely communication. Number 9 is writing skills. This seems a bit repetitive, but again, written communication that conveys a message clearly will really help you. And in the absence of visual cues, to be able to write in a way that people can see what is being communicated to them is a skill, but again, a very transferable skill that you can use in one job to another. So you might not be a copywriter anymore, but you might be able to use the fact that you're able to write to be able to do radio or presenting. It's a different form of communication, but still communication. And then number 10, active listening skills. Active listening skills. The opposite end of the spectrum of communicating is listening. Human beings love to feel heard, and that someone is listening to them. That's the only way you can communicate effectively, if you actually understand what someone's trying to relate to you, whether it's your client, whether it's your supplier, whether it's your team, whether it's your kids. Active listening skills, to be able to demonstrate that in a job interview and say, and actually in job interviews we test for this. We test for active listening. And we've done this in this forum before, where, for example, in an interview question, I would say, tell me a time of when you've used good communication to be able to convince an angry customer, and what the feedback was. So this question, if you're listening to it, has 2 parts. The first part is when you've used good communication skills. The second part is the reaction and the feedback from the customer.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the interview stage, because you're nervous and you're trying to give a good impression, as soon as the question's asked, you are thinking about, a time when I've used good communication skills. You're formulating your star or your answer in your head, that you didn't listen
to the customer. I didn't listen to the end of the question itself as well.
To the second, and it's a trick that interviewers use to see if you possess active listening skills. So I always say in interview prep, if we've done interview prep together, let them finish, listen to the whole question first, and then take a moment to frame your answer before you start talking. There's no crime against pausing for a few seconds before you answer the question. You don't have to answer the question right away. You can seconds, gather your thoughts before you answer the question. But the important and the key skill is answering the question properly, because you've been actively listening.
Yeah. But on the active listening, now, and you saying that you can pause before you answer the question. Some people are of the view that by so doing, it shows that you were not prepared for that particular question that is being posed. Either you've not experienced anything, now you are just trying now to think about something. So at times when I sit in a panel like that, then I think, he's not going to just cook something for us. So he's not actually experienced that. So if somebody finds themselves in such a situation, what should they do there? I know we are digressing a bit though.
No, that's a great point. I've never come across that point of view at all. But I think it's also fine to explain or to elaborate. Give me a second to put my answer at once. And I think, depending on the quality of your answer, you can dispel that prejudice that you're not.
Okay.
I think if you pause also depend on the length of the pause. There's a comfortable pause, and there's a
long pause.
So, hopefully, you would have prepared some of these competency questions already. You don't need to pause that long. But definitely, I think, depending on the quality of the answers, most people see it as you gathering your thoughts.
Yeah.
And you, again, if you have the inkling that they're thinking that, clarify. When people communicate, there's nothing like communicating super clearly. Oh, I just need a minute to gather my answer so I can give you a better answer. It explains to them what you're doing. It fills the gap. It gives you more time to think. And it doesn't go against you.
Okay.
If you rush the question and you don't answer it fully,
that goes against you. Yeah.
So in doubt, pause and think about it, and then come up with a really good answer that hopefully brings them away.
Okay.
That's a great input, Archie. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay. So where are we? The 11th skill. We talked about active listening. Creativity. Again, one of my favorite skills, creativity. And as I said, one thing I've learned recently, which I'm applying in my own life, is the importance of creativity and dedicating time to creativity. You know, there's a saying that says there's no lack of money, just a lack of creativity.
Yeah.
And creativity is not just an ability to sing, draw, what we traditionally refer to as a creative art. More than that, it's creatively financing your business, creatively selling to someone without seeming salesy or pushy, creatively conveying your idea across without conveying a perhaps sensitive idea across without offending. You know, creativity is in so many ways, and every single person on earth who is a creation in themselves possesses creative skill. And we just need time to hone those skills.
Yeah.
I was listening to, I can't remember what this motivational speaker name was, but he was saying we don't dedicate enough time to hone in our creativity. Creativity takes time. I've been watching a lot of bridal things because it's been wedding season, and just looking at the time it takes to create one wedding dress, or to create one stunning jewelry piece, or to create an artwork. And if we look at people in the traditional creative arts, they don't just get up and they're able to play a role in a movie. They practice for months, sometimes they diet for it, and we need to leaf out of their booklets. They allow themselves to be vulnerable, work on their craft to hone it, to be able to do that. And in the business world, we don't do that, or in non-traditional creative roles, we forget that you don't just learn and train to be an accountant and then you're suddenly an accountant. You in your craft. You to be able to work on how to communicate or talk on your broadcast to keep people engaged. You still need to work as a public speaker on maybe how you carry yourself, or your stage presence, or how people perceive your message. And we need to dedicate the time to being creative about how we do what it is we do. Are you an out-of-the-box thinker? Do you employ novel techniques to help clients understand how to use your product, to find novel solutions to problems that they face? This is where the money is, in the creativity of being creative about how to do non-banal things, usual things, but a creative way of it. Today I was looking at an interview from Shudu, you know, the digital model creator, and he was saying he's a young person in his 30s, and he says, I've been a fashion photographer for ages, and I play video games in my spare time, and I thought, you know, I'm burnt out in this industry, I want to do something different, I'm questioning what I'm doing with my life. And it's like, well, in 3 months he was able to learn how to program and to code, and to be able to draw on the skills that he's gained in the fashion sense, and from gaming, and put it together with the tangible skill he's just learned in how to program, to be able to new thing and revolutionize the industry. You know, that one would say is saturated, or there's too much in it, and nobody anymore. There's nothing new invented. If you give enough time to be creative, you can invent this. And this guy's story is particularly touching because, oh, look at the time. Yeah, I'll just finish this thought. His story is particularly touching because he stopped working in London, moved in with his parents again for a year to reset. Basically, and from his parents' shed, he created this. Must feel like this at different times, and we feel like it's just us and all hope is lost.
Yeah.
So most creativity and most genius comes from this particular scenario. We're feeling that, and you're looking at what transferable skills you can use. Creativity is definitely one that you can use. I'll just mention the rest of them. So attention to detail is one of them. Project management is another transferable skill that you can use. Relationship building, being able to understand people, priceless. Computer skills is also one of that you can always use in any particular job or in any transferable skills that you may need to.
Wow, listeners, this has been a load full of skills that you need to you know, you might have them all there, everything that she's talked about, you might have them there, but because you've not taken the time to check it out or use it, so you think, whoa, it's not there, what is she talking about, she is living on another planet. No, these are transferable skills that we are talking about. You have them in it, but you have to take time to actually even discover that you still have them. But if you want to know more about what we've talked about and how, when it comes to your career, your hands can be held taken through the various places by Linda, then please, you can go back to our broadcast. You go to Starr Radio UK every Monday edition of the morning show. You will have the latter part, Linda there bringing you Career 101. We've touched on various topics, and it's very, very important to each and every one of us if you really want to go on in life. Okay, so Linda has written a few books that every time we come on, I do talk about them. Now they are also there to help you out when it comes to your career as well. So I'm going to go back to her. She's going to talk about those books, and then she can put her contact details across to you. If you are interested, get in touch with her. She runs some programs that you could just register. At times you call it, oh, it's expensive. Yeah, but it's something that you are using to better yourself up. So it's very, very important. I want you to listen to her and then get in touch with her. Over to you, Linda.
Thank you. So as you said, sometimes we tend to think, oh, well, getting help is expensive. But the real question is, can you afford not to? To be in the same position that you've been in for the last few years, for the next few years, when you can invest a little and move yourself into a much better place and tenfold your income sometimes. So definitely that's something to think about. If you're interested in the books, they're called the career books. Funny that this is Career 101, they're the career books. By Linda Pallien, and they're available on Amazon and also via my website if you're based in Cyprus. But Amazon across the world, you can find them. They've been priceless resources for a lot of people around the world. There's loads of testimonials that you'll see, and definitely get your hands on them. We spoke about transferable skills. In the career workbook, which is the book 3, there's a part to bring out these transferable skills in you, and to be able to explore that. In the Career Successful, we talk about, this is book 2, we talk about what transferable skills you might need for what employment, and how you can use other experiences, unconventional experiences, to be able to get the job of your dreams without necessarily having the experience for it. So it's all there. And then of course the How to Career, if you're thinking of resetting or doing a second business, definitely these 6 steps are there to guide you. You can find them all on lindapallien.com. lindapallien.com. You can find out about the books, How to Work with Me one-to-one. You can look at what training programs we have. They start from £20. They are super affordable, and they're online, and you can do them from the comfort of your own home, and you can implement it today to start earning the money you deserve, the career you deserve, the life you deserve, because you owe it to yourself. So definitely, or contact me on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, at Linda Pallien or at my cheerleader, to say I'm a cheerleader of people's successes and dreams, and I can be your cheerleader too.
Yes, and that's it. She said it. She is my cheerleader. She can be your cheerleader. So why not make sure you get in touch with her? Linda, let me say thank you very much for this wonderful time once again.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. All right, then, listeners, that was HRH Linda Pallien on Career 101.
Hi there.
Okay, so
are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.